Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cracking open the integrated report from one of the world's largest mining companies.
And this document, it's really a roadmap.
It is. It's a high-stakes roadmap for how a massive global operator is trying to navigate, well, two completely opposing forces.
That's a perfect way to put it, because this is a company that's absolutely fundamental to the global energy transition.
Right.
They produce iron ore, nickel, copper, cobalt. I mean, these are the literal building blocks for EV batteries, for all kinds of low-carbon infrastructure. The green economy needs them.
It's mission critical, but at the same time, they're trying to build that future against this really complicated backdrop.
High global inflation, supply chain chaos, and you can't ignore it. The shadow of some catastrophic past failures.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to analyze that dual challenge. How does an organization this big even begin to eliminate the existential safety risks from its own past?
While also trying to become a leader in sustainable low-carbon mining for the next 20 years.
Exactly. It's a kind of transformation we just rarely get to see attempted on this scale.
So if we start with the most immediate thing, the report is very clear.
Safety.
Life first. They call safety an obsession. And they do point to a metric, a 44% reduction in the total accident rate in 2022.
Okay, that's a big number.
It is. But you have to dig deeper, right? Is that number a result of better technology, better controls? Or is it a genuine cultural shift?
And you can't even begin to talk about culture without confronting the damn failures at Brumadinho and Mariana. I mean, these events defined the company for a decade.
They absolutely did. Let's start with Brumadinho.
Okay.
The judicial reparation agreement there totals $37.7 billion. And this detail in the report is just, it's heartbreaking.
What is it?
The company states that the search for 3 people, tragically, is still going on.
Still.
And that tells you this isn't just a financial problem they can solve with a check. It's a trauma, an ongoing trauma.
And then there's Mariana, which was structured differently. It was a joint venture, right?
Yeah, 50-50. Managed through something called the Renova Foundation.
And the numbers there.
So $28.869 billion has been paid out since 2015. But here's what's really interesting. The report itself admits, very candidly, that the speed of reparation isn't meeting society's expectations.
They actually say that.
They do, and you see it in the numbers. They planned 584 housing solutions for displaced people. By the end of 2022, they'd only delivered 441.
Wow. That's a huge gap. We're talking about putting roofs over people's heads.
Exactly. And it points to the real bottleneck. It's not just the money. It's the social complexity. It's land acquisition, local politics, and, just rebuilding deeply, deeply eroded trust.
So if they're ever going to reclaim that social license to operate, they have to close that gap between the financial promise and the on-the-ground reality.
That's the whole game right there.
Which brings us to risk elimination. The technical side of making sure this never, ever happens again. The strategy is called decharacterization.
Right, decharacterization. It's a complicated word for a simple idea. You are essentially unbuilding a dam.
Reversing the engineering.
Exactly. You physically dismantle and reshape these high-risk upstream tailings dams, the kind that failed at Brumadinho, so they just become part of the landscape again.
And they have to do this. It's legally mandated in Brazil.
It is, but they seem to have really embraced it as their highest technical priority. The report says 40% of their upstream dams in Brazil were decharacterized by the end of 2022.
That sounds like a monumental task.
No, it is. It's slow and it's dangerous work, which is why technology is so critical here. They're using remote-operated excavators, driverless trucks.
So no one is actually in the risk zone.
Precisely. You have workers operating heavy machinery from a safe distance. And beyond that, they're committed to the Global Industry Standard for Tailings Management, or GSTM.
And why is that specific standard so important?
For institutional investors, GSTM is everything. It's the non-negotiable benchmark for ESG. If you want responsible capital, you have to be 100% compliant.
And the targets are aggressive.
Absolutely. 100% conformance for all critical structures by August 2023, and for all structures by August 2025. It's a line in the sand.
So it's not just about safety. It's also a competitive advantage.
It's a survival strategy. And to back it up, every single dam is being monitored 24/7. We're talking specialized radar that can detect movement down to the millimeter, AI video cameras. It's a digital shield.
That level of technical discipline, it's intense. And what's fascinating is seeing that same discipline pivot from physical risk to carbon risk.
Yes. Their entire future strategy is about providing the metals for the energy transition.
Right. and creating low-carbon solutions for their biggest customers, the steel industry.
And they quantify the challenge really well. For their own direct emissions, Scope 1 and 2, they're targeting a 33% reduction by 2030.
Okay, that's ambitious, but seems doable for a company this size.
Right. But the real mountain, as always, is Scope 3.
The emissions from their supply chain.
Exactly. From their customers. In their case, it's about 98% of their entire carbon footprint.
98%. Just think about that. You're responsible for the emissions of hundreds of different steel mills all over the world.
It's a staggering burden. So their target, a 15% reduction in Scope 3 by 2035, means they have to fundamentally change how their customers make steel.
So how do you do that? How do you cut emissions in someone else's factory?
You have to innovate your product. They're developing things like iron ore briquettes.
Okay.
These can actually cut their customers' emissions and costs in the steelmaking process, so they stop just a raw material supplier.
And become a partner in decarbonization.
Yes, that's the only way they can hit that 15% goal.
And this was the part that really surprised me. Powering all of this is an almost entirely clean energy grid.
It's incredible, isn't it? 98.6% of the electricity they generate is already renewable.
And they're pushing for 100%.
100% in Brazil by 2025 and globally by 2030. They just launched the Sol do Cerrado solar project in 2022. It's one of the largest solar parks in Latin America.
So this isn't just a pledge. It's concrete and steel in the ground.
It is, and you see that on the operational side, too, with their PowerShift program.
Right, replacing old tech.
Think about their huge fleet of mining trucks. They're piloting these massive 72-ton battery-powered versions to replace diesel.
That's a huge shift.
It is. And it's not just about CO2. It's about reducing noise and air pollution for the communities living near the mines. It all ties back to that social license.
So we've talked about the tech fixes, but what about just nature, the environment itself? The scale of the land they protect is, it's kind of staggering.
It is. They protect 965,000 hectares of natural environments. But the really amazing number is the ratio.
The 11-to-1 ratio.
For every 1 hectare they impact with their operations, they protect 11 hectares.
That is an unbelievable commitment. How is that even possible? Is it audited?
The report frames it as part of their land stewardship. It requires a massive investment in monitoring and maintenance. And they formalized it with a 2030 forestry goal. Protect another 500,000 hectares outside their fences.
Beyond their own property lines.
Right. And to do it, they've co-founded a new company called Biomis with partners. The goal is to restore 4 million hectares of native forests over 20 years.
Which just shows you the scale of the ambition. It's too big for any one company to tackle alone.
Exactly. So if we shift from that huge environmental scale to the really local social challenges, the report gets very specific.
You're talking about their social ambition, the goal to fight poverty around their operations.
Yeah, the goal is to lift 500,000 people out of extreme poverty by 2030.
And this isn't just a cash handout program.
No, not at all. It's much more sophisticated. They're using what they call a multidimensional family monitoring process.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means they track more than just income. They look at access to education, health, nutrition, basic infrastructure.
So they're trying to find the root causes of poverty.
Right, and provide targeted support. The pilot program's just started in 2023 with about 30,000 people, so we'll have a baseline to measure against.
And the report also lays out some very specific diversity and inclusion goals for their operations in Brazil.
It does. Things like reaching 26% women in the workforce by 2025. They were at 22.1% in 2022, so they're on their way.
And what about leadership roles?
That's maybe even more important. The target is 40% Black professionals in leadership by 2026. They're up from 32.1%. And the initiatives go deeper, too.
Like what?
Things like specialized training for women in operational roles and covering sexual reassignment surgeries for trans employees and their dependents. It's a direct response to criticism that they were disconnected from their communities.
So you've got these massive targets, decarbonization, protecting millions of hectares, lifting 500,000 people out of poverty. What actually connects all these promises to the daily reality of the business? It has to be the governance, right?
That's where you see the real rewiring of the organization.
In the executive compensation.
Exactly. A huge chunk of executive bonuses, 30 to 40% of their short-term incentives, are now tied directly to ESG metrics, safety, risk, sustainability.
And here's the part that I think is the single most critical change, reflecting the lessons of the past.
I know what you're going to say.
Since 2020, the team's responsible for safety, geotechnics, reparation, and compliance.
They have zero financial or production targets in their goals. Zero.
Walk us through what that actually means on the ground.
It means a safety manager can't be pressured, even subtly, to cut a corner to meet a production quota.
Because the quota doesn't affect their pay.
At all. If your entire bonus is tied to reducing risk and having zero accidents, then safety stops being a trade-off, becomes the absolute precondition for everything else. It's the mechanism designed to make life first a reality, not just a slogan.
And yet, even with all these changes, the past still lingers. Their adjusted EBITDA in 2022 was $19.8 billion, a huge number.
Massive.
But they also had to settle a lawsuit with the SEC in 2023 for $55.9 million.
And that context is so important. It shows the difference in scale. The ongoing cost of compliance is tiny compared to their earnings. But the cost of a past governance failure...
It's astronomical. It dwarfs everything.
Right, and it reinforces why these changes are so vital. They know that financial success is completely irrelevant if you lose your social license to operate because of a catastrophic safety failure.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. We've looked at a company that is essential for the green economy.
A producer of iron, nickel, copper.
That is simultaneously grappling with the fallout from Brumadinho and Mariana while setting these incredibly aggressive climate and social goals for the future.
The synthesis is this. It's a duality of execution. They are physically, mechanically eliminating risk through things like decharacterization and the GSTM standard.
Well, at the same time, they're tackling social risk by trying to lift people out of poverty, by protecting 11 hectares for everyone they touch.
And the company's entire future, its very license to operate, hinges on proving it can execute on those social and safety commitments, not just on its financial performance.
Those internal mechanisms that we talked about, tying executive pay to safety, taking production goals away from risk teams, those are the most important data points in this entire report.
I agree. They show an attempt to match the severity of the past trauma with a new level of discipline for the future.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Given this history, and given the sheer scale of these promises, from decharacterizing every single upstream dam to lifting 500,000 people out of poverty by 2030, what kind of deep internal cultural change has to happen inside a company this large to make sure the speed of execution finally matches the severity of the commitment?
Because the real deep dive over the next few years won't be in their financial reports. It'll be in the evidence of that cultural transformation.